In this video, we are going to look at the nature of the NMAT compared to the nature of the CAT. So all those of you who have been preparing for CAT and might not really have a lot of idea about what NMAT looks like, this is the video for you. I am Dr. Shashank Prabhu. I am the founder at Point 99 and I have scored a 297 at the NMAT in 2023 and I have also been a CAT 100 percentiler. So let's get going with the comparison video, after which I will show you what exactly does the NMAT consist of and who should be taking this test. So stay tuned till the end to get details about the NMAT first versus the CAT and then NMAT as a standalone test. Now in terms of the first parameter that we are comparing the NMAT and the CAT, the first parameter is the nature of the test. We will see that the NMAT is a computer adaptive test, whereas the CAT is a computer based test. Now semantically, of course, both of them are different, but how are they different? In terms of the NMAT, the level of difficulty of the questions is predetermined, meaning that there will be a question which will be of say level 90. There will be another question which would have been statistically known to have been a difficult question that might be of level 95. There could be an even more difficult question of level 100 and so on. Now, depending on where you reach during the test or what level you are able to achieve during the test, you will be given a score, and that score is on a band that you are going to get. So that is basically how NMAT works. So at the end of the test, you will know what your level is. And it's not going to be a comparative thing with other aspirants who will be taking the test. So of course, your band or your score on the band will be compared with someone else's score on that band and so on and so forth. But if you are looking at what exactly is going to happen to you, you are going to be graded on a band of 12 to 120 marks in each of the sections. And overall, if you look at it, 36 to 360 will be the band on which you would be rated. Typically, we have seen that a score of more than 230 to 235 marks is good enough to get calls from most of the top colleges that accept the NMAT. Whereas in terms of the CAT, it becomes a lot more different than this. CAT is a computer-based test, meaning that in one slot, everybody would be attempting the same test. Now, on the basis of how you perform with respect to others, you will be given a percentile. And that basically determines your performance compared to the population who will be taking the test. So computer adaptive test will help you because it is comparing you with yourself. It is just telling you that, okay, now we are giving you a slightly difficult question. If you attempt that question, then your score will go slightly higher. It has got nothing to do with people who are taking it in the same slot or at the same center. In fact, if you look at your neighbor's test, please don't do that. But if you do, then you will see that they might have a set of completely different questions compared to what you would be attempting. So that way you can say that it's a fair test because the level of difficulty of the questions is predetermined. CAT, on the other hand, becomes a game wherein if the population who is taking the test with you is incredibly superior, maybe, or incredibly lucky, then you might end up with a lower score. But then again, considering the number of people who take the CAT, this is also not going to happen that regularly because statistically, if you look at it, maybe if 80,000 to 1 lakh people take the test in one slot, then you will be able to maybe assume that the results will not be skewed. Now coming to the next part, which is the scoring bit. In terms of the NMAT, it's a scale-based scoring system. So from 12 to 120, that is the scale that you are going to be graded on. There is no reveal in terms of what is the negative marking or what is the number of marks per question that are awarded. Of course, there is more than sufficient reason to believe that NMAT will reward you for attempting more difficult questions in a better manner. Purely because if you attempt more difficult questions accurately, then your band or your score on that band will go higher than someone else who might not have attempted them correctly. In terms of the CAT, for every correct answer, you are going to get plus 3 marks. Whereas for every incorrect answer to a question that has multiple choices or options available, you are going to invite a -1 for every incorrect answer. And if the question does not have any options and is a theta question wherein you have to type in the answer, then you are going to get 0 for an incorrect answer. And at the end of the test, what is going to happen is CAT is going to normalize your score. So typically CAT is conducted across 3 slots. So depending on the performance of the people in each slot, they will use some statistical analysis and then they will make sure that everybody is brought to the same level or their scores are normalized. So that is something that happens after the test, whereas NMAT, the level of difficulty of the sections or the questions would be predetermined and the score is going to be based on the scale. In terms of level of difficulty, perceptibly, if you think about it, NMAT is easier in nature because the test is adaptive in nature. So the test will figure out what your level is within the first few questions, and then it will keep on challenging you to solve slightly more difficult questions. Whereas in terms of the CAT, it's a mixed bag. So you can't really say that CAT is going to be easy, moderate, or difficult, or things are going to change based on your responses to the previous questions. So the level of difficulty is going to be variable in terms of the CAT. And also the grading is relative. So everything depends on what others think of the same section. So if they feel that it's an easy section, then it will be an easy section. Whereas if people feel that it's a difficult section, then it will be a difficult section, which will be reflected in the scores and the percentile. In terms of the syllabus, NMAT has this advantage wherein there is an official guide available, and NMAT syllabus is completely focused on the contents of the official guide. They will not go beyond whatever they have explained in the official guide. Whereas in terms of the CAT, there is no syllabus as such. It's generally said to have 10 standard level of concepts, both in terms of English as well as Quant. So the syllabus is immense. You will not be able to challenge something that, okay, this was not something that I expected for, so how did you ask us this question? In both the exams, you will not be able to challenge the questions in any manner, but in terms of indicative syllabus, NMAT is a lot more streamlined compared to what CAT looks like. In terms of the sections, both the tests have 3 sections. So NMAT has 3 sections, namely quantitative skills, which is QS, LS is language skills, and LR is logical reasoning. They roughly correspond to the 3 sections of the CAT, wherein you will have a VARC section, which is the verbal ability and reading comprehension section, and then there will be a DILR or data interpretation and logical reasoning section, followed by a QA or quantitative ability section. In terms of the order of the sections in which you can attempt this test, in terms of NMAT, it is flexible. In fact, you are supposed to select the order of the sections at the beginning of the test, and you can choose it on the basis of your strengths and areas of improvement. So some people like to choose their strongest section at the very beginning. Some people like to keep their strongest section at the very end. So depending on what your insights have been from the mocks that you would have taken and the people you would have interacted with, you can choose the order of sections or the order in which you are going to attempt the sections at the NMAT. In terms of CAT, the sections are going to be delivered in a fixed order. So VARC will be delivered first, then VARC will go away, then you will have DILR. So even if you figure out that something needed to be done in VARC, you will not be able to go back to the previous section. Similarly, if you finish VARC earlier, you will not be able to use that time to attempt the DILR section. Same goes with the QA section as well. I'll talk a bit about the QS, LS and LR sections at the NMAT a bit later in this video. So stay tuned to understand how many questions are there and what is the time limit per section that you are going to get in terms of the NMAT. In terms of the topics that are asked at the NMAT, in terms of the NMAT, do have a look at the NMAT syllabus video in which I have covered the entire syllabus of NMAT in a detailed manner. So do have a look at that. I will link that video in the description box below and also in the pinned comment. So make sure that you have a look at that video. Also in terms of CAT, I have made syllabus videos for all the 3 sections. So make sure that you go through that as well, or those videos as well, to get a good idea about what CAT looks like. In terms of the colleges that are there, the first and the foremost and possibly the best college through NMAT is going to be NMIMS, plus a lot of other colleges that will be there. But if you look at it, among the top colleges of the country, if you are ranking it, say top 15, top 20 colleges in the country, NMIMS will regularly feature in these lists. Whereas in terms of the CAT, there are a lot more options that are available because of course CAT is accepted by a lot more institutes and a lot more people take the CAT compared to the NMAT. So you are going to have colleges including the IIMs. So all the 21 IIMs that are there will accept the CAT. Then FMS is a very good institute which will accept the CAT, SPJMR, MDI, IIFT, IITs, and a lot of other institutes will accept your CAT score. In terms of academic background, NMAT will not really look at your academic background while giving you a shortlist for the interview round. So if you have cleared the sectional cutoffs and the overall cutoff, you will be invited for an interview round. Whereas in terms of CAT or the colleges that accept your CAT score, for many of these colleges, you might also have to show significant academic prowess. So for the older IIMs, for colleges like say SPJIMR, you might have to have a very strong academic profile to be considered for the second round. In terms of the NMAT, it's not required as such. So even if you have an average profile, even a low profile would do, but even if you have an average profile, you should be able to get a call for the interview round, and then you can justify your profile in that round. Now, in terms of the overview of the NMAT, as promised, NMAT has 3 sections: LS, QS, LR, as I have already mentioned: language skills, quantitative skills, and logical reasoning. Now, the order in which you are going to attempt these 3 sections needs to be chosen at the start. And to give you a good idea of what this looks like, there are 2 resources that are available from the end of point 99. So we will be doing a live mock solving for all of you, and by the time you watch this video, the live mock solving would have already happened as well. So in case you missed watching the live mock solving video, do check that out on the channel. I'll also link it in the description box below and in the pinned comment. So have a look at it to understand how I choose the order of the sections at the beginning of the test. What exactly is my thought process, and also I will discuss a couple of other thought processes that can be used to choose the order of the sections at the beginning of the test. Now, in terms of the first section that I'm going to discuss, language skills is predominantly the verbal ability and reading comprehension section. In addition to what happens at the CAT, you will also have questions from grammar, critical reasoning, analogies, prepositions, fill in the blanks, paragraph completion, and so on. So all these statements or all these question types will be there as a part of the language skills section. Now, the language skills section is a particularly challenging section at the NMAT purely because there are 36 questions that you need to attempt in the matter of 28 minutes. So you will get less than 1 minute to attempt each question, and that's why you have to be very fast, especially when you're attempting the non-RC questions. Now, in terms of how this section is delivered, you will be shown one question at a time. So you have to look at the question, you have to answer that question and move ahead. You will not be able to just roam around in terms of the section, look at some other question, and so on and so forth. That is purely because your next question will be dependent on the performance that you have put in your previous question. So if you have attempted a difficult question correctly and quickly maybe, then you will get a slightly more difficult question. If you have attempted a question of some level of difficulty in an incorrect manner, then your next question might be slightly easier than the previous question. That's basically how they will figure out what is your level or in each of these sections that are there. In terms of the quantitative skills section, the QS section, there are again going to be 36 questions, but now you are going to get 52 minutes to attempt this entire section. Now, of course, there will be a lot more difficult questions or challenging questions, time-consuming questions in QS compared to LS. So 52 minutes, 36 questions is also something that can be managed. In terms of the third section, which is the logical reasoning section, which, mind you, will be slightly different compared to what happens at the CAT because of the presence of topics like coding and decoding, sequential output, arrangements which are slightly different compared to what you get at the CAT, maybe analogies, maybe some other miscellaneous form of reasoning wherein you will be given squares or triangles, there will be numbers placed somewhere, and you will have to figure out what exactly should be the number in the region where there has been a question mark. So all these kind of questions can appear in the logical reasoning section of the NMAT. Now, the logical reasoning section will also have 36 questions, and now you will have a matter of 40 minutes to complete this entire section. Now, you will be shown one question at a time. There is no negative marking. In fact, there is no positive marking as well. That is known to us. You just need to understand that the more questions you attempt correctly, the more difficult questions you attempt correctly, the better your score will be in terms of that 12 to 120 marks band. But you will be shown one question at a time. Only when you solve that question will you be able to move on to the next question. Also, there is this small thing that is peculiar to the NMAT wherein you have to go through the entire question pane so as to be able to go to the next question, meaning that you will have to browse vertically, you will have to browse horizontally in case there are some questions that require you to do that. Only then will you be able to go to the next question. Otherwise, the test will show you a prompt saying that you have not visited the entire question. That is peculiar to the NMAT. Now, you are supposed to attempt all the questions at the NMAT, because if you don't attempt all the questions, as is the case with GMAT, there is a chance that the system might penalize you. Because let's say you are attempting only 5 questions and you are attempting them correctly in 28 minutes or 52 minutes or 40 minutes. Now, the system doesn't know what your level is. So in that case, the system will try to punish you. So we have to attempt all 36 questions in the designated amounts of time that we will be getting for each section, and only then can you expect the kind of algorithm to give you a score that really reflects your performance. So make sure that you're attempting each and every question at the NMAT. Also, a very important part, again, this is something that we have borrowed from the GMAT, you are not expected to make any mistakes at the start. So for the first few questions, especially the easier questions, make sure that you're giving them sufficient time, you're not making a silly mistake, and only then you are moving on to the next question. Because if you make a silly mistake at the very beginning or in the first few questions, the system might think that you are not good enough to be shown more difficult questions, and because of that your score might suffer. Now of course this is not something that has been confirmed by any authority as such, but it is something that is commonplace knowledge, and we have seen enough and more correlation that exists in case someone makes a mistake at the very beginning. Now who should be taking the NMAT? So everyone who is a serious aspirant and who is looking at generating options in addition to the CAT should be taking the NMAT, but specifically those who are expecting a 90 plus percentile at the CAT should definitely look at the NMAT as a viable alternative. So if you are looking at say 93, 94, 95 percentile at the CAT, and if you have been scoring around let's say 80, 85 percentile in CAT mocks, you should seriously be considering taking the NMAT. Also, if you are scoring more than 220 odd marks in the NMAT mocks, you should also definitely look at taking the NMAT. Now for people who are looking at options beyond NMIMS Mumbai, people who are looking at say NMIMS Bangalore or all the other colleges that accept NMAT scores, including say SDA, Bocconi and so on and so forth, you should also take the NMAT, because that will help you generate a lot of options in maybe that 80, 85 percentile bracket as well. So make sure that all of you who are looking at either NMIMS and are expecting a 90 plus percentile at the CAT, you register for the NMAT, take the NMAT. And those of you who are not really looking at getting into the top 15-20 colleges in the country, but you want to keep your options open, even those can take the NMAT. Now people specifically with average slash below average or poor academics, I would encourage them to take the NMAT purely because you are going to get a call on the basis of your clearance of sectional and oral cutoffs. Beyond that, nobody is going to ask you what was your score in 10th standard, 12th standard, graduation and so on, especially while giving you a call. Now, once you are inside the interview room, of course, these things will be discussed, but you are getting an opportunity to sit in that interview room and justify your academics. So that's why I would strongly suggest all those of you who are promising candidates, who are looking at getting a good percentile at the CAT, but are not very sure of their academic background, to take the NMAT as well, because that will help you create better chances for yourself. And people who are good at speed tests. So all those of you who are good at speed tests, who have like good problem solving capabilities, who have maybe appeared for Olympiads in their schools or have taken some talent search examination. So you appear for those kind of tests. I would strongly encourage you to sit for the NMAT as well, purely because NMAT will reward those who are really good at making decisions quickly and being able to solve questions at that pace. Right, so NMAT is basically going to be a test of how much range you have in terms of topical expertise. The more topics you are good at, even at a superficial level, is good enough. But even if you are good at a lot of topics, I think NMAT will be especially rewarding to all of you. So make sure that you are taking the NMAT with utmost seriousness. Have a look at all the other videos pertinent to the NMAT that we have put up on this channel. I will put the links to all the relevant videos in the description box below and in the pinned comment. Also, we are going to have a series of NMAT workshops, paid NMAT workshops that you can enroll for. We have limited seats there, and we have an early bird discount running at this point in time, which will help you enroll for the program for 2,999 rupees. The actual price of the program is much more than that. So make sure that you enroll for the program at the earliest, so as to not miss out on this opportunity of preparing for the NMAT with me. So all the sessions will be taken by me. All the content that is going to be discussed in those sessions is going to be created by me. So I am sure that it is going to add a lot of value to you in terms of how exactly do you face the NMAT. So I hope to see a lot of you being active on the YouTube channel, participating in the discussions that we have through comments. Also, there is a specific Telegram channel that we have. Again, I'll put the link to that channel in the description box below. Make sure that you join that channel so that you are also discussing questions on a daily basis leading up to the NMAT. And also look at the program that we have floated. It has been created with a lot of effort and a lot of experience. So make sure that you join that to boost your chances of cracking the NMAT.